All right, and welcome back to a Raptors podcast. I'm your host, as always, Lucky Roberts. I apologize for knocking on my mic there. As we see the Raptors go 1-2 in the past week with a win over the Brooklyn Nets, and then 2 straight losses against the Magic and Bucks to continue their losing ways. They are now 8-28. The Raptors tonight lost to the Milwaukee Bucks behind a very strong performance by Damian Lillard, but to be honest, it was another one of those games that we've seen a lot of lately where the Raptors were just never in it. The Bucks are caught fire from three-point land with 22 for 44 three-point shooting, and it's a certain point where we have just no perimeter defense on this team, and you wouldn't expect it, especially bringing back the guys we've got starting as our point guards. No longer we don't have Davion Mitchell in the starting lineup anymore, and we have R.J. Barrett, Grady Dick, Emmanuel Quickly as our guards there. We have no perimeter defense at all. We're just allowing guys to get open shots. I mean, if you just look at the difference between the ball movement on Milwaukee Bucks versus the Raptors, where the Raptors are supposed to be a ball movement heavy team, but the starters of the Milwaukee Bucks did such a good job of finding open shots, making the extra pass, that the Raptors still sort of get bogged down in otherwise. Scotty Barnes and R.J. Barrett have a little too much focus on driving to the basket, giving the ball, let me ISO, where we're not seeing enough passing around spread across the entire team. Grady Dick with 3 assists. Emmanuel Quickly, same thing. If you look at the assists total, the Bucks have 37. The Raptors have 27. And it was just apparent from the get-go that the Bucks were going to win this game and going to win it handedly. And the Bucks aren't, the Bucks of the past. Obviously, they still have that main core, but it's aged a bit. They're only 18 and 16. They have had struggles this season. They've caught on a little bit, and it would look like that this year, but we just did not ask anything out of this Bucks team. We just laid over, let them beat us, and you heard it from Darko after the game as he was saying the exact same thing. This Raptors teams, we tried to eliminate Giannis as a offensive threat, but Giannis just found his open three-point shooters, and he did a way better job of doing that and finding Damian Lillard for 3, finding Brook Lopez for 3, Bobby Portis for 3 was 4 for 6. Gary Trent had a big roll off of the bench. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 13 assists and looked a better passing forward than Scotty Barnes did, which is something you never want to see out of a game, and something you never want to say out of a game, because Giannis it was never advertised as that. And to see him grow in that is really impressive from the Bucks, and it's disappointing from the Raptors side of things because defensively you already know we're not going to give them anything on the perimeter, and so Giannis was like, I'm not going to try to force, the strength of your defense is interior-wise with Jakob Poeltl and a little bit of Scotty Barnes. Well, okay, I'm just going to pass it out to our three-point shooters. We're going to knock it down. We're going to walk out of Toronto with an easy victory. And I guess, what should I expect? But it's disappointing to say, and it was definitely a tough game to watch and a slew of tough games to watch for the Raptors. But once again, you saw the same things. Obviously not as good of a performance as you would have liked to seen from Quickly and Grady Dick, both inefficient. Off the bench, we have guys who used to be starting in Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, Ochai Agbaji, coming off the bench and not giving us good minutes at all. Just didn't even shoot much when they came in. Bruce Brown also just really disappointing. I know you think he's going to come back, he's going to give you something defensively at the perimeter, but once again, just doesn't add enough, and especially offensively doesn't change anything to the point where, yeah, look, we're just going to try to win in these shootouts, but if you look, we're not scoring that many points either. 104 in this game, the game before against the Magic only scoring 97, and that sort of speaks to the hierarchy on this team. It's kind of weird because I think we have players who view themselves, and definitely they're being paid as such, as lead players, and they think that they need to be able to take the lion's share of the shots, but they're taking inefficient shots, like Scotty Barnes' pull-up threes. He was 0 for 4 today from three-point range. And you have, Emmanuel Quickly forcing a bunch of shots. Grady Dick was taking a lot of tough shots that, he was hitting earlier on in the season, but it's hard to be consistent on that type of diet. And RJ Barrett does find good shots, and there's a lot of finishing, and there's a lot of around the basket, but he does find good shots there. You can see that his, bucket-getting skills still there, even against a tough interior defense with the Bucks. And same thing with Scottie Barnes, was able to get his 21 points, but they're able to get their points, and overall it looks like, this team should be pretty decent offensively, but it just doesn't mesh well together to the point where it's a bunch of guys trying to get their own, and we need to see a lot more ball movement, and I thought we would see a lot more ball movement from a Darko Rajakovic-led basketball team, but it just hasn't come to fruition, and it's definitely not going to come to fruition when you're 9 for 35 from three-point land. Really, really tough. The Bucks outshot us by double in percentage, which is kind of incredible. Damian Lillard just ran the show, and you look on Twitter, and it's Damian Lillard's the best player off the ball in the entire NBA. And you could see it today because there was a lot of wide-open three-point shooters because we were so focused on Damian Lillard and Giannis, where Brook Lopez is going to go 4 for 8. Damian Lillard still hit some tough threes, but Gary Trent's going to get open threes. Bobby Portis is going to get open threes, and they knocked him down. And Gary Trent got to make his statement against us, I guess, that he's not done and we should have paid him or something like that. I don't think this season goes much different with Gary Trent as a rostered player for the Raptors, especially if we're paying whatever he was asking for. So keep that in mind, but. Yeah, dude's not even getting over Andre Jackson, so let's or Taurean Prince. Let's keep that in mind. But yeah, just not what you would have liked to seen. And the game before was much of the same, where the Raptors' offense just doesn't come to play. Gets dominated by a Magic team that you have to remember coming into this game, the Orlando Magic don't have Paolo and they don't have Franz. And yet the Raptors weren't competitive at all. It was Tristan da Silva, KCP, and Jalen Suggs before he got injured. Me and my buddies, I don't usually bet on games, but it was my buddy's money. He was like, cook me a parlay. I was like, okay, look, if you want money, if you want to earn money on a good parlay here, pick the Raptors. I know it's it's going to be plus 200 or whatever. It's good odds because they don't have Franz, they don't have Paolo. Jalen Suggs is going to be running the show because of that. He's going to be getting lots of assists. Of course, he gets into this game, so that doesn't count. And the other thing we picked up was Jakob Poeltl double-double because the Orlando Magic don't really have a big center that you have to be worried about Poeltl's going to eat. And he did eat. 11 for 12. 25 points. 6 rebounds. 6. Goga Bitadze gets 13 rebounds. Come on, Poeltl. Anyway, just did not go our way from the get-go. But once again, Scottie Barnes with 20 points, 9 rebounds. He's getting his. Manuel Quickley's getting his in shot attempts. 4 for 17. Yikes. Not had the greatest start you would have liked to have seen from Emmanuel Quickley. Abaji's a lot better. Dick's still a lot of tough shots, inefficient. And off the bench, it's the same old, where you have a bunch of guys who... they're not really adding anything, They're just out there to be out there. Bruce Brown, once again, disappointing. Should have traded him when we could. We're still paying that guy $20 million. And we're getting beat by half a game of Jalen Suggs, 13 minutes of Jalen Suggs, Tristan da Silva, KCP, Caleb Houston, Goga Bitadze, Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter, Corey Joe, Cole Anthony, Jet Howard. What is this? How far have the Raptors fallen to not even give this Orlando Magic team a game? Not even give them close to a game. It's really disappointing. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about Darko coming into this offseason. And a lot of questions about where this team is headed with the front office. I think, you trust them to make the right moves. You trust them. And we knew this was going to be a taking year, especially because we didn't get our pick back last year. But it's just being really frustrating to see this team get dogged on every single day by teams that aren't good. And we have our full team back at this point. I know RJ got injured, but today. But against the Magic, we have our full team here. This is our squad. And it just doesn't happen. Against the Nets, it did happen. The Raptors caught a little bit of fire from 3, shooting 50%. Those are the only games we're going to win nowadays. Scotty Barnes got 33, 3 for 4, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. So quickly coming back with 15, his first game back. It was looking amazing. Quickly looked like he was the freshest thing since sliced bread. He's the difference. We needed a point guard. That's what we were missing. Scotty Barnes was given too much opportunity as a point guard. Well, we look back at these next 2 games against the Magic and the Bucks, and Quickly's not looking to facilitate at all. He's just going out for his own like everybody else. And so you see Grady Dick had a great game, shot the stuff out of the ball. You see Jakob Poeltl doing what he needs to do, getting his rebounds, gets 9 rebounds, 12 points. That's what you would expect from Poeltl. Scotty Barnes, ultra efficient, hitting his threes. Abaji hitting his threes as well. And the bench, once again, not really giving you anything, but you'll take it. You'll take 2 threes from Jacoby Walter. You take a 3 from Kelly Olynyk. That's all you really need from this bench to beat a Brooklyn Nets team that also is struggling a lot. Like, this is one of the rosters that you look and, okay, the Raptors are definitely better than this team. But it did take 50% from the three-point line and 29% from the Brooklyn Nets. So keep that in mind. D'Angelo Russell back in a Brooklyn Nets jersey after the trade from the Lakers. 22 points, 8 assists off the bench. He looked like D'Angelo Russell. He looked fine. He looked like one of his hotter games. But he's always going to come down. Cameron Johnson on my fantasy team, giving me 24, 3. Good to get me buckets. Good. You love what you see there. Nick Claxton, sort of just... Yeah, also another center, 16 and 10. Ben Simmons, 6 assists, 2 points. Not a lot here with the Brooklyn Nets, and I think that's what you have to keep in mind. The Raptors dominate, but only because we shot crazily. And even still, Brooklyn Nets, aren't losing by as much as the Raptors are losing against the Bucks. The Raptors are losing against the Celtics, and the Raptors are losing against the Hawks and Grizzlies and Knicks. And if you look at the schedule coming up for the Raptors, it's not getting any easier. It's not getting easier for this Raptors team. We've got New York, we've got Cleveland. Detroit's no slouches this year. We play them on Saturday, then it's Golden State on Monday, back to Boston, back to Milwaukee, back to Atlanta. All teams that we've got demolished by this season. So, take it with a grain of salt. This is going to be another tough week, just like every week is going to be. But, the Raptors keep trudging along. We're going to have those games where we do shoot 50% from 3, and those are the games that we are going to win. But I think any coach can bring you that, right? Any coach can bring you 8 and 26. What has Darko shown at this point that's really got you thinking, that's the guy I want? This is what he brings. This is what he adds to this roster team. This is what he's developed. This is what he's done in Toronto, because he hasn't done it yet. And I give him another year of leash just because we were supposed to be bad this season. But I want to see some development from our players, and I want to see the team mesh and gel and us act like a real basketball team. Because even when healthy now, we're not acting like a real basketball team. And that was sort of what was promised the entire season. We were giving teams tough games up until, late in December there. And now we just let the floodgates open. And it was right around when we got healthy. So it seems like the morale has really gotten shot on this team. Not a lot of effort being put out there from our Raptors players. And we've fallen so far from the championship season, fallen so far from the year after that where we're giving efforts every single second. And you look at the roster and it looks foreign. And you look at the type of guys we brought in and the energy they're bringing out looks foreign. And it's unfortunate. But that's life. That's how it goes. There's going to be ups and downs in teams' histories. You are happy that you were a part of a sustained period of success, and you just hope it'll be back soon, but not this year. I'll see you guys after the New York game, Cleveland, Detroit, Golden State, probably after Golden State or Detroit. We'll see how I'm feeling. I appreciate you guys for listening. It's another tough week, but we'll be back. I'm sure there'll be better weeks than this, but just, yeah, thanks for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at Lucky Roberts if you like. No problem if you don't. I understand. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys next week after some more losses and some more amazing Raptors basketball.